Every harvest season, millions of farmers around the world face a challenging decision: what to do with the leftover crop residues. Should they burn them to clear the land for the next planting, or should they let the nature take its course and let the residue degrade naturally? This seemingly small decision carries massive consequences not just for the land, but for the air we breathe, the soil we cultivate, and the climate we all live in. Hi, I am Sham, and today in this video, we are going to dive deeper into an issue that's affecting millions of farmers worldwide and is having a significant impact on our environment. It's a battle between burning crop residues, which is common practice in many parts of the land, and letting the residues degrade naturally. What's the better choice for the climate? Well, stick with me, and by the end of this video, you will understand why this is a decision with enormous global consequences. Every year, over 150 million tons of crop residues are burned across the globe. In India alone, it's estimated that 20 million tons of rice shuttle are burned every season. In some regions like Punjab and Haryana, burning accounts for more than 40% of the seasonal air pollution in New Delhi, creating hazardous smog and threatening public health. But that's not the only issue. In many other places, especially in rice farming, flooded fields contribute significantly to methane emissions. Methane, a gas 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period for global warming, is released into the atmosphere when crop residues decompose underwater, such as in flooded rice fields. Rice paddies alone account for roughly 11% of global methane emissions, contributing to accelerated global warming. These emissions have real world effects. Both burning and natural degradation of crop residues contribute to climate change in different ways. The issue is complex, and what seems like a small practice might actually be making our climate crisis worse. When crop residues decompose, the type of environment they are in plays a key role. If the crop residues decomposes in an oxygen-rich environment, such as when it's left on the surface of the soil or in an open field, it undergoes aerobic decomposition, which mainly produces carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming. However, if the residue is submerged in water, as is the case with the rice paddies, it decomposes in anaerobic conditions, where oxygen is slowly available. In these conditions, microorganisms break down the residues and release methane, a far more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. Methane is responsible for over 25% of global warming and is 80 times more effective than carbon dioxide at trapping heat in the atmosphere over a 20-year period. This is why rice fields are a significant contributor to global methane emissions. When crop residues in those fields decompose without oxygen, they create methane, one of the worst offenders in our battle against climate change. On the other hand, the practice of burning crop residues, which is common in countries like India, China, and Brazil, produces not only carbon dioxide but also black carbon and particulate matter. These fine particles are harmful to human health and contribute to respiratory diseases, heart conditions, and even premature death. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that 7 million deaths each year are linked to air pollution from all sources, with a significant portion attributed to agricultural burning. These deaths aren't just statistics. They represent mothers, fathers, children, real people living in cities like New Delhi, where smoke from crop burning is a constant threat. When we talk about air pollution, we often think about factories or vehicles. But crop burning is responsible for a huge portion of that pollution, and it directly affects the lives of people living nearby. I have seen firsthand how communities are impacted by the smoke that hangs over them for weeks after a crop burn. People have to wear masks just to breathe, and children are forced to stay indoors, missing school and social activities. So, the big question is what's worse for the climate, methane or carbon dioxide? While both are greenhouse gases, methane's short term impacts is far more dangerous. Over a 100-year period, carbon dioxide remains the more potent climate culprit because it stays in the atmosphere much longer. But in the next 20 years, methane is significantly more damaging. Despite the fact that carbon dioxide lingers longer in the atmosphere, reducing methane emissions now would have a significant impact on slowing climate change. In fact, experts argue that reducing methane emissions is one of the fastest ways to combat global warming in the short term. If we act now to reduce methane emissions, especially from activities like crop residue decomposition in flooded fields, we can slow down climate change in the next few decades, buying us precious time to implement longer term solutions for carbon emissions. Thankfully, there are sustainable solutions that can reduce both carbon dioxide and methane emissions, while also improving soil health and even generating income for farmers. Let's look at a few. Biochar production. Biochar is produced by heating crop residues in a low oxygen environment through a process called pyrolysis. This process locks carbon in the biochar and can store it in the soil for centuries, cutting down on emissions while improving fertility. In fact, biochar can reduce emissions by up to 50% and provide farmers with a natural fertilizer that can increase yields. Composting. Composting crop residues is another method that produces minimal methane and enriches the soil, turning organic matter into rich, dark compost. This method is easy to implement and helps farmers create a natural fertilizer that benefits their crops without adding harmful gases to the atmosphere. Mulching. By leaving crop residues as a mulch on the soil, farmers can protect their soil from erosion, reduce water loss, and allow the crops to naturally decompose without releasing harmful methane. This method also helps build soil organic matter, creating a healthier ecosystem. Biogas plants use crop residues to produce renewable energy. By capturing methane before it escapes into the atmosphere, these plants convert waste into power, reducing emissions and creating clean energy for local communities. We all have a role to play in tackling climate change, and it starts with understanding the issue. If you are a farmer, consider trying one of these methods. If you are a policymaker, push for policies that support sustainable practices and help farmers transition into better alternatives. And if you are someone who cares about the future of our planet, take action, whether that means supporting sustainable farming or simply spreading awareness. If this video helped you understand the importance of reducing methane and preventing crop burning, please consider supporting the channel by liking, sharing and subscribing. If you would like to take your support a step further, you can join me on Patreon, where you will get exclusive content, behind the scenes updates, and the opportunity to directly influence future videos. Your support makes it possible to keep producing content that helps make a real difference in our world. Together we can work towards a healthier planet, one field at a time. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye.